Hello YouTube, Mark from Northeast Indiana coming at you from the shop today, and just want to kind of show you something I've been working on. I've got a gazillion projects going on and I've been trying to get some stuff finished. I've been dabbling in some woodworking. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I ended up picking up some tools and I've made a few bird houses. I don't know if I might show some of those later on, but I already put them outside. Bluebird houses made out of cedar. Real easy project for a beginner like me. Kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. But something I've been working on, and I'm gonna try to intersperse pictures in this video, or I may just have a voiceover of pictures later. You'll know here in a second or two what I'm gonna do. But this is something that I picked up off the Facebook marketplace. I really wanted a draw knife, and someone had a set of 4 tools, including a nice antique draw knife, and they had like 10 bucks on it. So I went ahead and purchased it, and I'll show you that draw knife later on in another project. I'm gonna be making a handle for a hammer. I just got some good wood that I want to use. But in that draw knife were 2 machetes, very old, very rusted, busted up, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna play around since I'm getting into woodworking and see if I can make a handle for one and kind of just refurbish them. I'm going to show you the finished product. Again, this is the first handle I've ever made for any kind of knife, machete, whatever. I'm not a woodworker. I'm certainly not a knife maker. I do some blacksmithing, but I've never made a knife that would require a handle. But this is the finished product. So let me show it to you. This is, I don't know how long this is. I've put all my tools away. But this is a spalted maple handle, and I stained it. And I'm thinking I'd rather would have just put some tung oil on it or something. Had to fill in a wormhole with some epoxy. Let me kind of, oh, I'm kicking the tripod. Sorry about that. But you can see the spalting, I guess, of the wood. You can see that wormhole. I had to fill that in. This came from one of our trees, one of our maple trees that we cut down, I want to say about 10 years ago, and I've been burning it up in campfires and things like that, the family fire pit. However, I grabbed a piece when I picked up a bandsaw, and got the bandsaw free on Facebook Marketplace. Just happened into it, a Craftsman, and it's been working great. And I started cutting up a piece of that maple just to see how the blade would work on this bandsaw, and noticed some really neat characteristics to the wood. At that time, I really didn't understand what spalted maple, spalted wood was, but it's when a fungus gets in to the wood, and it's certainly part of the rotting process. And out and back where I had this, a lot of moisture, a lot of time, and there's fungus growing on the outside of these pieces. And sure enough, when I opened them up, you could just see the spalting coming through. These lines here are not cracks. That's actually part of that spalting process. And it's kind of a neat thing. It used to be considered, I guess, junk wood, and now people are making tables and everything else of them, and I decided to use it for this knife. Now let me show you the other handle that was on there. This was the handle that was on there, clearly broken, and they had some real old, it's like a cloth tape, black cloth tape that they had holding this together. And the way they did it, and the way I did on my knife, was they just had a groove cut all the way through, and that machete kind of pushed through there and pinned. And you'll see those later on in the video. But this is it. I used a wire brush to take surface rust off, and I've oiled this. I've kind of put a bevel on this with a grinder, and then I've sharpened it, and I don't have it so sharp like a knife because of the way you would use this. And I would use this on like foliage, weeds, maybe softwood. I wouldn't go tacking a tree with this, but this fits my hand perfect. I did deviate from the handle, and I made a little coming from the back of the handle. I made it come up, whereas the other piece, you can see, let me try to get them, you can see it was more of a straight shot. And this fits my hand nice, and I feel like I've got a little bit of a, not a guard, but something there to hold that in my hand. And I've got pretty decent sized hands, and I think it fits really well. So that's the finished product. Let me walk you through the process of getting it to this point. It's been a long time coming. So this is pretty much the condition of the blade when I received it. Rusted, handle broken. Handle was affixed to the blade by some electrical tape like I explained. And it had these rivets kind of on the blade still that I could not get apart, and so I ended up just grinding these rivets apart. They're good size. They're just under a 1/4 inch in diameter, so it took a little bit to get them off without messing up the blade at all. But you can see just how heavy the rust is on this blade. Even looked like it may have been painted or something in the past, but that all changed when I decided to take a wire wheel to it. I originally was going to use that piece of walnut there for the handle, but then changed my mind and went with the spalted maple. So this is as I began to wire brush the blade. Just, it's pretty straightforward. Just took it over to the post vise, hooked it up, and took it down. You can see the chunks missing out of the edge there. I took a file and got it all cleaned up. Took it down to where the chunks were gone, and then I began to really address the blade. Trying to lay out this handle. Never have done any kind of knife work before, so wanted to lay it out pretty much like it was. So I have the slot in the handle, the piece of wood, and at this time it was all one piece, and I was just marking out where the pins were going to go. Again, very crude because I don't know what I'm doing, but it was working for me there. And that's a 3/16 rod. I found out, like, oh, that's when I really started paying attention to the pin size. Made some mistakes there with my original drill bit, my pilot bit, and then as I was putting it on the blade, it split. So I had to glue it up and let it sit for a couple days before I came back to it. Finished my sanding and other things that I wanted to deal with there, and I had to fill in that wormhole. I just used some epoxy. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I could have used wood putty. I didn't have any on me at the time, but I was pretty pleased with how it fit my hand. And so with that, I decided to move forward, put it on the blade, and again, I want to use this for foliage and things like that, so it fit really good. Put these screw-in pins in there. First time I ever used them. They kind of go through the pinhole there. You screw them together, and then you grind off the slot, and you can kind of see that before I ground the slot off there, what that looked like. And then just finished it up, and this is it. Pretty much done here. I stained it. I wish I would have just put oil on it, but I did stain it with some colonial maple stain, and got a decent finished product, I think. So that's basically it. These pictures here are just how it looks finalized. Again, I just wiped it all down with oil, and I put a decent cutting edge on it. Nothing super sharp like a knife, but pretty pleased with it. So there you have it, compilation of the refurbed handle on the Machete. First time for that. I have another one that I am going to do, and I'll probably put walnut on that handle, and may take some more time to really press into doing a great job on it. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you. Hope you are able to get out to your shop. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just get out there and try, because more often than not, you'll succeed. We'll see you next time. Thanks.